This setup immediately gives off that premium home theater vibe the moment you see it. You've got the Sonos Arc Ultra positioned front and center, the subwoofer placed to handle all the low-end impact, and a pair of Era 100 speakers acting as the rear channels. Visually, it's clean and minimal, but the real story starts once you actually turn it on. What's interesting right away is just how simple the entire setup process is. Sonos has clearly refined the idea of a wireless ecosystem where everything just connects without friction. You plug everything in, open the app, and within a few minutes the system is already calibrated and synced. No AV receiver, no manual speaker tuning, no cable-heavy installation process. For a system in this price range, the convenience is almost part of the appeal. Once you start playing content, the Arc Ultra sets the foundation. The soundstage feels wide and open, and dialogue is delivered with impressive clarity. Even in busy action scenes, voices stay locked in place and don't get drowned out by background effects. There's a level of separation between audio layers that makes everything feel more intentional and less compressed. When Dolby Atmos content comes into play, the system really starts to expand. Sound moves in a way that feels three-dimensional rather than just left and right. You can pick up subtle height effects and directional movement that give movies a more immersive feel. It's not just surround sound, it's structured spatial audio that actually feels well-placed. Then the Sub 4 takes over the low frequencies and adds physical presence to the experience. The bass isn't just loud, it's controlled and deep. It adds weight to explosions, depth to music, and intensity to action scenes without muddying the rest of the sound profile. Even at higher volumes, it stays tight and balanced instead of overwhelming everything else. The Era 100 speakers at the back complete the surround field. They bring in those subtle ambient sounds and directional effects that make the space feel more realistic. Small audio details like background movement or off-screen effects become easier to notice, and that adds a layer of immersion that you don't always get from simpler setups. One of the strongest aspects of this system is how unified it feels. Everything is part of the same ecosystem, tuned to work together instead of relying on mixed components from different brands. That consistency shows up in how smooth and cohesive the sound signature feels across all channels. Of course, this kind of setup sits firmly in the premium category, and that raises the question of value. If the goal is just basic TV audio improvement, this is definitely more than what's needed. But if the goal is a full cinematic experience at home, with real immersion, clarity, and controlled power, then it starts to make a lot more sense. It also helps that the entire system blends into a living space really well. There's no bulky receiver setup, no visible mess of wires, and no cluttered speaker arrangement. It manages to stay visually minimal while still delivering a full surround experience, which is not easy to achieve. After spending time with it, the biggest takeaway is how balanced everything feels. Nothing is exaggerated for effect, nothing feels artificially boosted. It's a system focused more on refinement and consistency rather than raw spectacle. There are cheaper ways to get surround sound at home, but very few deliver this level of polish right out of the box.